finished on December 5th of 2022, did you in any way facilitate another crime scene location?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
311 East 65th Street in Savannah.
Why did you go to that location?
Well, at that point, Mindi had been identified, and further investigation revealed that she and Nicholas had lived at this address for a period of time during the window in which she would have died.
Okay. Do you know what their arrangements for the living conditions were at that location?
The residence was being utilized as, through Airbnb as a rental.
Okay. And when they rented at that location, did you know at the time you went to the crime scene who resided at that location?
We did not.
Okay. Can you tell the jury just a general description of what that location looked like?
Sure. It was a single-story residence in a neighborhood full of similar homes. Not a big residence. I guess I'd have to look at the square footage in my notes, but there were 2 bedrooms, 2 dens, and a kitchen, and I believe 2 bathrooms. There was a nice backyard that was enclosed, shaded with trees. There was a shed in the backyard, and the backyard butted up to an alley that ran through for trash collection.
Okay. And when you went to that location, how did you gain access?
We spoke with the owner of the residence and obtained their consent or her consent to search the residence and treat it as a crime scene.
Okay. So you were permitted to go there?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And at the time that you went there in May, did Mr. Kassotis reside there anymore?
No, ma'am.
So at that time, the person that owned the residence was responsible for that location?
Correct.
Okay. So you got permission from them to go in?
We did.
And they granted that?
They did.
Okay. Do you take a signed document to ensure that you have some proof that that was the case?
So, yes, we do have a form that's just used for consent to search whenever we try to obtain that during the course of the investigation. I was not the agent who actually obtained that permission, but that is a standard practice.
Okay. And so when you enter the residence, can you tell the jury how you handle a physical crime scene like a residence any differently than perhaps the woods?
Well, and this is a very unusual crime scene because normally when we're responding to something, this is to an incident that just occurred. In this case, we weren't sure exactly when this crime was committed. We had an idea at the time, a time range, if you will, but there had been a significant amount of time, months, had passed between when this crime had potentially occurred, and we weren't even sure it had occurred there. So we were going through to search this house, not really knowing 100% what we were looking for or if we'd find anything.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that there had been other residents inside of that dwelling in between December of 2022 and when you got there in May of 2023?
Yes, ma'am. So with the residence being treated as an Airbnb, there were people being moved through the residence from time to time. I don't have records and don't have access to those and have not had access to those during the course of my portion of the investigation. But as you can imagine, there were other people who had come in inside and out of the house.
So at that point, how did that impact what you did?
Well, as far as contamination goes, and we pretty much treat this as a scene that's again, we're not 100% sure what we're looking for. To a certain extent, we just got to use common sense. We know that Mindi received some pretty serious injuries, as horrible as you can imagine. You saw the photographs, and we had to look for signs that may have occurred there. So the easiest thing to look for at that point was for blood.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury how you would go about finding blood that may have been left behind?
So again, some of the tests that you saw, I described seeing a physical stain, like a reddish brown substance, clinging to the side of a container or maybe on a piece of cloth. When we look for blood that's not visible, we look for blood that may have been cleaned up or maybe was deposited in minuscule amounts that's just not visible to the naked eye. We do have some chemical processes that we can employ to look for those and try to identify those stains where they are. The one that we chose to use in this case was called bluestar. Now you heard me talk about bluestar OBTI. That's a presumptive test for human blood, but bluestar is a product. They make several different products, and this particular one that we used is just bluestar. It contains a chemical called luminol, you may have heard of before. Luminol and bluestar both, in the presence of hydrogen peroxide, come into contact with blood and cause that blood to glow. So it's not like on TV where you may have seen a crime scene investigator go into a house and shine a black light around and see blood and the blood starts glowing. That's not what happens. Blood doesn't glow under an alternate light source. In this case, we can use the blood, mix it according to the manufacturer's specifications, and then spray it in a fine mist. And anywhere that mist falls where blood is at a detectable level, and it's pretty sensitive stuff. If I remember correctly, it's about 10 parts per million that it can detect. And what it does is that blue glow that I'm describing is called chemoluminescence. It's the same way that fireflies or glow sticks emit light. It's not a chemical process that emits much heat, but it does emit a faint glow. So one of the things we have to do when we employ that chemical is we have to make sure that the residence is very dark. So one of the things, again, that we had to do to prepare to even spray the chemical was to go around and cover all the doors and windows with black plastic. We unplugged microwaves and taped over LED lights and things and made sure that the residence was as dark as we could get it, and moved all of our camera equipment inside, and then began searching the house using bluestar to look for stains that could potentially be blood.
Okay. Now, just so that we can start with some visuals, I'm going to go to slide number 42. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
This is another drone photograph. This is from directly over the residence. The residence in this case that was 311 is going to be the third from the left.
Okay. That'd be fair to say that it's the one underneath the biggest tree on the left side of the photograph?
Right. Most of the backyard was shaded.
Okay. And so that's the overhead of that house?
Right.
How far apart were those other houses from this house?
They were pretty close. I'm not sure that you could park two cars in between the houses, so they were packed pretty tight.
Okay. And I'm now going to the next screen, 43. Would that be the distance between if you're facing the house, the left side of the house and the house closest to it?
Right. This depicts the left side of the house if you're facing it from the roadway, and it's right there in the center of the photograph.
Okay. And can you also see there where there is the pathway to the right of the house? I'm referring to, and I'm zooming in right over here.
Right. So there was a concrete walkway from the road, from the sidewalk to the front stoop of the house. There was a way to walk around the right side of the house, but it was not very well kept. That concrete walkway actually went to the neighbor's house.
Okay, but that is the distance between the right side of the house and the neighbor to the right?
Yeah, that's a good depiction of it, yes.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 44. Can you tell us, how did you gain access to enter the house? What was involved with getting into the house?
So we met, I believe, her name, we obtained permission from the owner of the residence, and she allowed us.
I'm going to stop you. I need to clarify my question. I mean to physically walk into the house. How do you get in?
Through the front door.
Oh, I know. Are there any steps?
There are.
Okay. Can you describe that for the jury?
Sure. So you see there's a concrete walkway from the sidewalk to the front of the house. There's a iron railing and our metal railing and a front stoop there, and then the front door.
Okay. So you'd have to go up those couple of steps, either holding on the left or right railing if you chose to then make that right, I guess, into that front door?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 45. What's depicted here?
This is the bedroom on the southwest corner, or excuse me, apologies, not the bedroom. This is the den area, living room on the southwest corner of the house.
Okay. And are there any light sources inside of this room that had to be covered in order to be able to conduct the bluestar?
Yes, ma'am. The doors there leading out into the back porch or the back deck, and then the window, and also on the opposite side of the room is the kitchen. So there was kitchen windows that needed to be covered as well.
Okay. And inside of this room, was there ultimately anything of significance to your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. When we started searching with the bluestar, one of the first things that we saw that gave us a positive reaction was the blue futon there, the cushion on the rear of it.
I'm just going to ask you once again. You said they. Are you referring to yourself or to someone else?
I am. I had help, assistance. Again, this is a fairly major undertaking to put up all the plastic and everything. So I had help from my team, the additional agents that come in and help me prepare, and then stood by and helped me observe while I applied the chemical.
Okay. So were they assisting at your direction?
They were.
Okay. And were they in your presence the entire time?
They were.
Okay. When you say they assisted, did all of you then ultimately put up these tarps or obstructions to the light sources?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was there anything in this room that became noteworthy after you applied the Blue Star?
Yes, ma'am. After I applied the Blue Star, there were a couple of things. One, and the most obvious, was the blue futon there, the couch with the cover over it. The top of the couch, as we're facing there on the left-hand side, had a significant reddish-brown stain on it that actually, once we discovered it using the Blue Star, we flipped the light back on and saw that it was actually visible to the naked eye.
Is that the couch you're referring to there that I've kind of zoomed in on?
It is.
Okay. And did you then ultimately have the opportunity to capture photographs of the Blue Star reaction on this futon?
I did.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury, is it always possible to capture a Blue Star reaction?
So no, the way Blue Star works is it causes a reaction that is basically transient. That energy that's being released in the form of light, once that reaction is over with, that catalyst occurs, it only lasts so long. So, and because some of the sample was actually consumed as part of that testing, is something that you can't just do over and over and over again and expect the same result. So and usually there's at least 3 applications that are involved in the recovery and documentation of any stain that we found with Blue Star, and that's the first one that we use to identify it, and that's when it first glows and we go, okay, well, there's a possibility there's a stain there. Then we'll set up camera equipment and we'll try to go ahead and measure and capture that, and then usually a third one to make sure that we get a good photograph. But that's not always possible. It depends a lot on the substrate or the material that the chemicals actually coming into contact with and what the blood is actually sitting on or in, and then how much has actually been deposited there.
Okay. So in this case, meaning with the futon, you were able to capture?
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to show you slide number 46. Can you tell us what that is?
So that is what Blue Star basically looks like in the dark when you spray something that makes it react, usually blood.
And what is depicted in that image, in slide 46?
That is the stain as we observed it on the rear of the futon.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 47, and I'm asking you, can you tell us what is depicted on the area that I've zoomed in on?
So that's the same area of the futon, and again, you can see that reddish-brown stain there on top of it.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that's the naked eye as opposed to Blue Star?
Yes, that was visible, with or without the Blue Star being applied.
Okay. And now looking at slide number 48, what do you have depicted there?
That's the same stain. We just pulled the futon down. That futon, the stain would have been in the upright position on the back side of the futon. So we basically just folded that cushion over and then applied a scale there to give you an idea of what size the stain was.
So I'm looking at slide number 49. Is that what you're describing?
That's correct.
Okay. So would it be fair then to say, where is that stain located on that mattress or futon seating area?
As it was oriented when we found it, and keeping in mind that, of course, the futon mattress can be placed in pretty much any configuration you want it, that stain would have been on toward the wall there where that metal portion of it is standing up against the wall.
Okay. Do you have any idea if that futon mattress had been moved?
No, I have no idea. It was as you saw it in the first photograph is how we found it.
So I'm going back to slide number 45. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
And so, but you don't have any way of knowing if since December of 2022 that had been reoriented or moved in any way?
I have no idea.
Okay. So you just documented what you found?
Correct.
Okay. So when you see this stain, you said you took a measurement of the scale and the range. Is that correct, that the stain spread?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you slide number 50. What did you do here?
So again, these are field tests, the same as we used before, as phenolphthalein and also the OBTI tests. The phenolphthalein returned a positive result for blood. The OBTI test returned a positive result for human blood.
Okay. Is that same stain that you were referring to?
Right. In this case, we used a sterile razor blade just to cut a small sample of the cloth away and tested the cloth itself.
Okay. And why did you do that?
It's easier and more accurate than trying to resaturate a stain using distilled water or something like that. The normal, if we had found a dry sample or a dry stain somewhere that we want to sample, we use what's called a wet dry technique, where we'd use 2 swabs, wet one with distilled water, and use it, and then collect another with dry, and then use both of them in the test. And in this case, it was just as easy to cut a small section of the stain away and test it.
So you put the actual cloth into your testing sample?
Correct.
Okay. And with respect to the phenolphthalein, did you do any other testing?
We did the phenolphthalein test, and then we also did the OBTI test to determine if it was human blood or not. And that test returned a positive result for human blood.
Now, with respect to blood testing, and if this is outside of your area, please just tell me, can you tell when a stain of blood happened?
No.
Why not?
I will. I mean, the blood could have been placed there at any time. I have no way of telling when it was there. In fact, bluestar can be used to recover, in an archaeological sense, can be used to actually identify blood on ancient remains.
So you just know that there was blood, you don't know when it was deposited?
Correct.
Okay. Now looking at slide number 51, what's depicted here?
So we decided to collect the stain itself from the mattress just by cutting it away. So we took the stained section away, packaged it as evidence, and then noticed that the batting or the material, the padding underneath, had actually been saturated with what appeared to be blood as well. So we decided to take a sample of it too.
Okay. And is that what's depicted in this photograph?
Correct.
I'm now showing you slide number 52. Can you tell the jury what is on the floor there that I am showing?
Right. So as part of the search process, and like I said before, there's usually an application done, bluestar, to identify where stains are. And once we identify a good location where we feel like there may be some stains, we'll mark that location. At this point, we use some black tape and just marked the outline of the stains on the floor in the general area. And then went back, set up our photograph equipment. Because again, you only get so many bites at the apple at this. If you want to make sure that you get a photograph as best you can, if you can. And so in this case we did. We were able to take this photograph, and the way this photograph was taken is a very long exposure. Most of the time, if you hear a camera click, the shutter only stays open for just a moment. In this case, the camera was placed on a tripod, and the shutter was allowed to stay open for a very long time, almost a minute, I believe, in this particular exposure. And then at the very end, I had a flash that I aimed at the ceiling. The light went up, bounced out, and then illuminated the rest of the room. So you can see both the bluestar stain there on the floor as well as its context with the furniture in the floor.
Okay. Now, where was this stain located in relationship to the, and I'll go back to slide number 45, the rug that you see in this room?
So we sprayed the rug, and we didn't get a reaction from it. So in order to check underneath it, we moved it and then sprayed again, and that's when we found the stains on the floor.
So the rug didn't fluoresce?
It did not.
But what was under it did?
That's correct.
Did you notice anything about the pattern that the stain was in on the floor under where the rug was?
Well, in contrast to the stain that was on the back of the futon, you could not see the stains that are on the floor. This flooring was kind of like a vinyl plank. It was manufactured, and if you got down closely and looked at it, there were grooves in it, and this blood was not visible to the naked eye at all. So the blood that you're seeing there that's fluorescent, that's causing that stain, is actually from blood that's down in the grooves of the floor.
So when you pulled the rug up first, you couldn't see that stain with your naked eye?
Not at all.
And you only saw it when the fluorescing occurred?
That's correct.
Showing you slide number 53. What's depicted there?
This is the same area of flooring with the light turned off and just the chemoluminescence depicted in the photograph.
Was there anything that drew your attention as a crime scene specialist with respect to the pattern of that stain?
Ma'am, in my opinion, particularly on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see where there's a strong reaction. Probably yes, ma'am. There in the center of the screen, there's the brightest reaction. You see how it tails off to the right, to the bottom of the photograph. That, in my opinion, appears to be a wipe. A wipe is where we have blood that's been deposited on the surface and then something moves through it, as opposed to a swipe, which